4 days ago, I called out this market.
So, if you're looking at the Swiss franc Japanese yen and you were hoping to use the DAX methods to trade it, avoid to. If you're going to be looking at that zone right now, you're going to be looking at it purely
from the angle of just supply and demand and footprint charts. And for those of you who took a buy trade, let's take a good look at what happened. It got stopped out, obviously, and it's not a good thing to talk about. I get it. You expected this to be structural liquidity. In that video, I explained everything about why that was not structural liquidity. But if you're still in doubt, go back to that video, take a very good look at it and watch every single part of it, and you will get exactly why that was not structural liquidity. Journal this trade and just take it as a trade where you missed the little bit of nuances in the strategy you learned, and then also be able to apply this going forward in other trades. However, let's look at the chart of the Swiss franc Japanese yen today and tell ourselves exactly what is happening in this market and what is likely going to happen for us. For those of you who are new to this channel, I'd like to say hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, and let's take a good dive into this market. So first and foremost, the way I analyze the market is not just purely technical charts. For those of you who have been on this channel for a while, you must have seen this particular Excel multiple times. This is my fundamental analysis calculator, which I call a trade finder. I do a rating for every news, or rather the 7 most important news of an economy on this place. And from those 7 news, 8 news in particular, I take out a combined weight for the economy and then combine that along with the COT data release. Recently, I have come to see this as extremely cluttered and not representable to people a lot. So I created this dashboard. Now it is easier to represent data and read the data very fast. So we're going to dive straight into the Swiss franc Japanese yen. Now with the Swiss franc Japanese yen, I have a strength of 56%. Now, for those of you who don't know, 100% it means very bullish and 0 means very bearish. So in between, you should get it. For a currency like the Euro US dollar, you can see it's 43% based on the current news, while the New Zealand Japanese yen, while the US dollar Japanese yen is bullish. Going back to the Swiss franc Japanese yen, it is slightly bullish. So why should your bullish trade fail? Well, there's something called timing in the market. You know what you're doing, but you don't know when to do it. The Swiss franc, looking down here, we have each individual news by its strength. Each individual news is a color representation, and its strength is represented by number and also the width of that color. So, for example, looking at 50% for the unemployment rate of Swiss franc, meaning the information on unemployment for Swiss franc is flat, while their manufacturing PMI is at 100%, meaning they had a good news in their last news release regarding their manufacturing PMI. Compare that against the Japanese yen, where I do not have any information regarding their manufacturing PMI, meaning it is 0 on my stance, and then on their service PMI, they are quite good. Let's see if we do not have any news at all. Manufacturing PMI. So heading back to this chart here, the Japanese yen. So for me not to be jumping charts, board and Excel all the time, all I'll do is I'll come down here and I'll go to current status. When I go into the Japanese yen, I can see the Japanese yen, and I'm going to head directly for their manufacturing PMI data. And from their manufacturing PMI data, it seems like they released their latest news last week or this week, and it was terrible. That's what this 0 means. Hence, they don't get a score with manufacturing PMI, and that is how it came about to be. So by the time I combine all their news information and compare it against the combination of all the Swiss franc news, you can see the Swiss franc is clearly ahead of the Japanese yen. Also, when you look at the COT data, the commercial traders are 67% bullish here, while the retail traders are 47% bullish, which is quite bearish. While for the Japanese yen, the commercial traders are 32% bullish, that is actually bearish, clearly, and then the retail traders are 57% bullish, which is being bullish. Hence, following contrarian sign, you should be buying the Swiss franc, selling the Japanese yen, following contrarian side on the retail traders, and then following the commercial traders, you should be doing the exact same thing. Mix that up with the fundamental stance of both economy. You should clearly sit with the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Now on the chart, why did you lose? Well, again, it's all about timing. On the daily, we can't find a demand zone to buy from except down here. This is a demand zone before the run up. And why is this zone still standing? Well, if you check out between here and here, price didn't mitigate this zone yet, so price is coming to mitigate it, and you can see price is just mitigating it and seriously bouncing off. On the 4 hours, we're going to refine this zone by looking into this zone and looking for other demand zone. Right here I have this demand zone. I also have another demand zone in this place, and I have, last but not least, another demand zone. So from any of these 3 zones, I expect price to react and bounce off, especially with the amount of news being positive for this currency pair. Now you can see what is happening right here. Price came in and immediately drifted up real fast. For me to come into this market, I really want to be safe. So what I'll do is I need to also look out for where to get out. I always look out for entrance and exit before I even enter a trade personally. So what I do is I aim for the next supply zone. So this is a supply zone on the 4 hour. That is where I should offload at least 80% of my trade when I get here, and then let the rest run. So on the 1 hour, I'm looking for nuances, reasons to come into this market now that I have seen a clear break to the upside. So what I'll do is I'm aiming for the demand zone again on the 1 hour. So here I have a demand zone. Price may come back here for a retest, before it runs off. Price may still decide not to come back all the way here and just run off, because you can see the news is clearly bullish and strongly bullish at that. So however, I do not chase the market. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to place an order right here. Stop loss is going to be below the first move, and take profit first right here. This is how I trade the market. So at exactly 18,500 units, I can place an order right here, aiming for my take profit and stop loss directly where it is. Now, this is not for you to dive into this market and take a trade because this guy on YouTube or some random guy on YouTube is taking a pending order in the same place. I may still close out this trade myself if I notice price doing some kind of shady move. But however, if price should violate this 1 hour demand zone, I am obviously looking at a bearish move for price to move further for other demand zones here. This is how I see the market. This is what I see in the Swiss franc Japanese yen, and this is what I want to trade. For those of you who are watching for the first time, I have videos where you understand market structure, demand and supply analysis, and you could do well to watch those videos, entertain yourself and learn in the process. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.